Welcome back to B-Side Banter. This is episode 2 of the new segment that I started called Influence, where I want to focus a little bit more on talking to the actual creators involved in music, producers, artists, engineers, whatever that is. And so I'm here with Caleb Wright, and I'm super excited about this because I kind of discovered Caleb through one of my favorite albums in the last several weeks, which is Samia's Bloodless album. It's quickly becoming really my album of the summer. I'm listening to it all the time. So I'm super excited to have you on, Caleb. You're a producer. You kind of co-produced with Jake Lupin, I believe, this
Yeah.
album. You've also obviously worked on all kinds of other projects. But this was the one that I was just like, I got to talk to this guy because I loved it. You also are involved in the writing as well on it, not just producing. You've done writing on several of the songs or all the songs. I can't remember. I looked through the credits,
A
but
handful, yeah.
yeah, which is it's just super cool. That relationship of producer artist when it also kind of also includes that writing. It's I think it's a really cool relationship. Obviously, you're in the middle of it, so you can talk more to that. But I'll just kick it over to you. Maybe just introduce yourself. Yeah, anything pertinent you want to kind of talk about for yourself.
Yeah, I don't know, my name's Caleb. I'm a producer. I live in North Carolina now. I was from Minneapolis, St. Paul area my whole life, and I moved down to North Carolina about 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm just working on music and producing records, mixing records, writing with people, meeting people, hanging out with my kids,
Yeah,
and trying to juggle it all, keep
it's
it all afloat. You know,
it is a juggle, man. It's a juggle.
it
Yeah,
is. Yeah, it's a fun juggle. I like
yeah.
getting pummeled.
Yeah, totally. How was that transition? Like Minneapolis, I think to some people that aren't familiar with Minneapolis would be surprised to know that it is kind of another music hub, maybe more so because of the history of people that have come through there. But like, what was it like to leave a place like that that does have like a pretty decent music scene to going to North Carolina?
Yeah, it's a big transition in a lot of ways. Culturally and music wise. I'm grateful that I knew a bunch of people down in North Carolina already, so I was able to
Mm,
kind of find a spot in a new community pretty fast. But
yeah,
um,
yeah,
it was also like hard to leave all my friends and family.
mm,
I was really comfortable in the Twin Cities
yeah,
with my community, and but I feel like it was just kind of like when COVID happened, and me and my wife were talking about trying to get out of the city.
yeah,
But then we were
yeah,
like, we're not going to move to the country in Minnesota and literally just be in like the middle of nowhere for
yeah,
7 months in the cold.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and then I ended up coming to North Carolina to make Samia's second record, Honey.
Okay,
We
yeah.
recorded it down here because just kind of like on a whim, we went to Sylvanesso's studio in like the middle of the forest. It's called
Mm,
Betty's.
mm-hmm.
Um, and I remember meeting people down here being like, "Oh my gosh, people really love music here."
Yeah.
Like in a way that was different than what I was used to. Like
Mm,
everyone had liked all this obscure shit that I had no idea about,
mm,
and it was just kind of inspiring how it seemed like their attitude towards music was so pure.
yeah,
And
yeah.
not that people's in the Twin Cities isn't, but I just remember people talking about each other maybe more in the Twin Cities or something. And
Mm,
I don't know.
sure.
It was just different and
Yeah,
inspiring. But the Twin Cities is amazing.
yeah,
It's an incredible music scene.
yeah.
There's so many different types of things going on.
Mm,
Um, every time I go back, I go to some show or something. It's like feels like a family reunion. It's like
yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
random
that
people from like 15 years ago that you're like, oh my
nice.
gosh,
Yeah, that's amazing. Do
yeah,
you still like do any like recording and stuff in the Twin Cities? So you go back to do some of that stuff?
yeah,
Okay.
tons actually. I feel like
Yeah.
I go back a handful of times a year, and
Okay.
sometimes just on Friday I went back just to see Samia's show at First Avenue.
Nice.
And,
Nice. Yeah.
so yeah, I'm as much as yeah, I go back all the time.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's
Yeah,
yeah, it is kind of funny like these little pockets of music communities that you find in kind of unsuspecting areas. Yeah, North Carolina is not a place that you'd be like, yeah, there's probably like a really cool music community there, but I've heard the same thing. I've heard that of like Asheville area. I've heard that of just like, I don't know if it's the roots in like the music that came through like Appalachia. I don't know if that's like where it is, but like I don't know.
Yeah.
There just seems to be a lot of really interesting people that kind of come out of that area.
Yeah, it's like a mixture of things and just like timing and
Mm,
little scenes that pop up because I don't know. I mean, like our scene in Minneapolis kind of like came from our high school.
mm,
Like
sure,
so many the people that I ended up working with and hanging out with all the time were still just friends that I made in high school when I was like 14.
that's
And
crazy.
like
Yeah,
there's
that's so
just
cool.
every so often there's these really magical
Mm,
little generation like communities that
mm,
um I mean I feel like that crew and that community is one of like the greatest blessings that one of the greatest gifts I was given in this life, honestly.
mm-hmm,
I met my
mm-hmm.
wife in that
Yeah, that's awesome.
crew. Like it's
Yeah,
just it's very
yeah,
blossoming.
yeah, that's amazing. Um, let's talk a little bit about Samia, just because I'm just so interested in this, and honestly, I feel like you guys have kind of hit something really cool with this record. What and it's getting a lot of buzz. Like, not that she hasn't necessarily gotten that before, but I feel like this record has maybe put her onto a different level that she's been used to. How did that like feel for you guys as you kind of, obviously you're putting out an album that's really vulnerable for you, it's your art, it's your stuff you've poured into, for her, for everybody involved, and then to see kind of this reception, which is super positive.
Yeah. I mean it's amazing. I
Yeah.
think I love that record so much and making it was such a cool thing and
Hmm.
I love working with Samia. She's like one of my main collaborators of the last while and
Mm.
have such a cool dynamic and trust there. But
Yeah.
I mean we all Jake included, all the people who played on, everyone really went hard for it. And I think
Mm.
that we all were sort of setting our sights on trying to do something really cool at this moment for her. And she, I mean, from the jump, she was holding her writing to a certain standard that was kind of like scary, like
Mm.
inspiring.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
we were just like, damn,
Yeah.
she's really going for it. And not, it's like she would lean into things that she would maybe be hesitant to lean into
Mm.
uh, on her second record or something. Like she was just sort of like, this is my style kind of. And like,
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
care if it's too obscure. I don't care if people get it right away this time. Like
Hmm. Sure.
I'm, I'm writing this way. And I think that bled into, me and Jake's ambitions of how seriously we wanted to take things. And, um, yeah, it was a wild process.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What are some of your like favorite tracks off of that record?
Some of my favorites, I mean, they've all kind of had
Mm.
um, their moment with me. I love Dare.
Yeah.
Dare
Yeah.
is like one of my favorites. I love Fair Game.
Yeah.
Um, I think Pants is really cool because it's just like so crazy, and I feel like none of us had ever really done anything like that before.
Yeah.
Um,
I really like Pants a lot. Yeah.
Pants is so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love Sacred. I love them all, really. I mean,
Yeah. Hard
I
to
think that
pick, right?
it's kind of wild because there's a lot of songs on the album. I think it's 13 or something like that. Um, but eh, I've I haven't really had like a dull moment with any of them. Actually, no, that's not true. I've had dull moments with all of them. But
Yeah, I'm sure
how
you
are
have.
they?
Yeah.
How are they ended up?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you have that. That's like, as a producer, like like, do you have a hard time stopping on a track, like, or like
Yeah,
where you just want to tweak forever and ever and ever?
yeah. I try to be really careful about it.
Hmm.
I'm trying to get better and better at knowing when to keep going and when to pull back, and kind of like be able to analyze within myself what are my motivations, and like, am I
Mm-hmm.
getting too focused on elements that don't matter?
Yeah.
I mean, it really is like a huge part of the job I'm learning, is like knowing those things within myself and trying to see them within other people, and kind of being protective of, um, you know, staying on track and staying on course, because you can fuck something up real fast,
Yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah.
then you got work yourself back. And I feel like
Mm-hmm.
when I first started, it would finishing things would always take me so long, because I would get it and then ruin it and then re-get it and then ruin it, and it was just this like
Mm-hmm.
never-ending journey of finding it again until you were like, okay, I think we're good now.
Yeah, yeah, I gotta stop or I'm gonna ruin it here. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I'll ruin it again, and I have to save it again, and
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
so yeah,
I'm not in the production world by any means, but I'm a perfectionist, so I get that with just other anything, honestly. I'm just like I have such a hard time giving up on
yeah.
something because I just want it to be as perfect as possible. But yeah, you're right. Like there's like these hills and valleys, and like you can get to the hill, but you don't think you're on the hill, and then all of a sudden you like go too far and you're in a valley, and you're like now I gotta do some damage control here.
Climb back up. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
especially hard when like mixing something that I've been
Mm,
working on for like a year and a half,
hmm.
like trying to like stay on course and stay like fresh,
Yeah,
like stay
sure.
like
Yeah,
be able to still hear things new
yeah,
and not just like be tied to some funny inside joke memory or something that someone said that was annoying
yeah,
like 4 months ago, that
yeah,
is
yeah.
still influencing how I'm like leveling a guitar part or something.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, there's so much stuff that goes into it. That's crazy. I'm excited because I'm seeing Samia when she comes through Nashville. I think it's like September or October or something like that. It's the fall,
Cool.
but excited to see how this kind of takes what this looks like in a live setting because it's always different and typically live solidifies your like just appreciation and love for an artist and a performer. Like obviously you have your outliers where like some people perform horribly live, but I think that's not really the case as much anymore. Like just because of the standard huge pop artists have placed on making a performance, and that trickles down where like now everybody's expecting you know nobody's wanting to go to a live show and have somebody that's like totally plastered and just gonna like wreck the performance, whereas like 20 years ago that was pretty normal it feels like with certain bands. But like I don't
Yeah.
know, so I'm super excited because I think it's I've been watching clips already and it just looks like she's a great performer and yeah,
It's her best show yet for sure.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
awesome.
I just saw one yeah, last week, and it's so cool to see. We also had like a live show in our minds working on the record, maybe more
Mhm.
so than a lot of things I've done in the past.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
really wanted it to be able to be translated
Mhm.
easy and not have people, have to figure out this whole thing song by song. And
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, because there's definitely ways that you can write a track and produce a track where it's like sounds great when you're listening to it, in with headphones or in your car. But then it's like, how do you translate that to a live stage, and how do you make it feel full and have energy and all that stuff? And like,
yeah,
yeah,
can
it,
four people play this?
yeah,
And,
exactly. Yeah, totally. Like how many backing tracks are we gonna have to have? Like, you know what I mean? Like it can get cumbersome for sure. But yeah, I've been watching lots of clips and I'm pretty sure. Did you like join her on stage for? Was this in the Minneapolis one?
yeah, I played the clarinet parts on Pants.
That's amazing. I love it.
It was cool. It was
Like,
hilarious.
it's like how many people do you think were expecting like somebody to come up and play the clarinet?
I don't know, probably no one. I mean, I wasn't really expecting it either.
Yeah.
I like don't play clarinet, but I just so happened to be able to play in
Yeah.
uh, the key of B flat. Um,
That's amazing.
kind of, because I played it in a band I was in college in Olympia, Washington. I played clarinet and drums.
That
Um,
combination is so amazing.
it was the
The,
coolest band in the world. It was
yeah.
called Holy North American Motor Highway,
Whoa. Yeah.
and
Mouthful.
it was one of the most like the guy Alec Gabin, the guy who ran the band and like wrote a lot of the music. He's like one of the most inspiring artists I've ever seen in my life. He like
Really?
had such a big impact on me.
Really? That's so cool. Yeah.
That's a little clarinet tangent, but yeah, I
Yeah.
brought it back on pants, and yeah, it was
That's
cool.
amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, I think like how many people would ever be able to say I went to a live show and somebody was playing the clarinet live? Like that's just not like it's just not very common.
It's low key, kind of like the violin, where it's
Yeah.
like usually just sounds like horrible, and it's so easy to just
Yeah.
uh, play the wrong sound, like this,
Yeah.
Squidward.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's so amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. Kind of going into what you were just talking about, this guy in the band that you were a part of being like really influential on you. Like what would you this kind of segment is called influence, so obviously we're going to talk about who's influenced you and how you've kind of brought that about in your writing, production. But yeah, what would be some of your influences? Like you can start a timeline way back, or you can just give me like a couple of like your favorites currently.
I think that in each phase of my life, kind of, there's maybe been a person or a project or an artist. Maybe it was someone I knew, or maybe it was someone that I was listening to. Um, that really like shapes, just has a really uh, fruitful and yeah, like someone really like has an impact.
Mm.
Honestly, when I was really young, like the White Stripes were really
Okay,
big. And I
nice.
actually
Yeah.
was just listening to like White Blood. I tried to like, I was on a road trip and I tried to go back to the White Stripes.
Mm-hmm.
It was harder than other things for some reason. It's like really harsh,
Yeah,
raw,
it's
uh,
very raw,
kind
very
of
raw.
fatiguing ass music to listen to. But I
Yeah,
remember
I can
being
get that.
like that live video of them playing Jolene at some festival is like one of
Yeah.
the coolest things. I come back to it like multiple times a year.
Mm-hmm.
There's something that is like just the coolest thing of all time about
Yeah.
that shit.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that was a really big one. I mean, there was a period where I was in high school and I started like kind of getting into production, I guess you'd say, like,
Okay.
like making music in a computer. And
Mm-hmm.
not that production is not making music in a computer,
Yeah.
but that's when I started learning those tools, like,
Yeah. Sure.
and I was really into Flying Lotus at the time, and like
Okay.
that sort of LA beat scene,
Mm-hmm.
like Teebs and uh, yeah, that had a really big impact on me, specifically the album Cosmogramma. Um,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I was really into Jeff Buckley
Okay.
for a while.
Yeah.
Leonard Cohen has had a big
Mm-hmm.
impact. Um, I feel like more recently, I don't know. Some people like kind of come into my life too. Like, I have recently sort of made friends with Brad Cook, who's a producer. He also lives in Durham, and he
Okay.
produces a bunch of music like Waxahachie Records.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I feel like, meeting him and hanging out with him and hearing his philosophy on
Mm-hmm.
making music, had a kind of cool impact, and I've learned a lot from hanging out with him and talking to him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
But there, yeah, I
That's
mean,
cool.
there's
It's
so
just
many. John
yeah.
Frusciante is like
Nice.
Neandra, that like long, brutal, disgusting, disturbing album with like My Smile as a Rifle.
Yeah.
Uh, that also had an impact on me in a very like dark, brutal
Dark.
time. That's like some of the
Sure.
darkest music ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And I haven't heard like there's certain music that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that existed. That would be one of them. I remember like keeping up with him as he was kind of doing his solo stuff, but like Yeah, I have not. I would be interested to go back to that now to see like what I'm sure it would be a little arresting, but yeah, I
It's
remember
crazy.
I remember when it was coming out, I was like, "Whoa, this is something." Like I don't
Have you ever heard
I
the
don't know,
song
man.
"Life's a Bath"?
I am horrible with song names. But which do you remember the record
I
it was
think
on?
that one actually was only a one-off, but it's
Was
from
it? Okay.
the Neandra era.
Okay.
Um,
I
but
might
there's
have.
anybody listening should look that up.
Okay,
Life's a
Life's a
Bath.
Bath. Oh,
Drop
I
the C
will
there.
for sure. I'll go back. Yeah.
It's
It's
it's awesome.
it's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. And like some of these like so you gave me a list of your like five favorite artists. Leonard Cohen's on here. You've also got System of a Down, which is, there that's when you think of Samia and you think of System of a Down, you're like, what? This doesn't connect. Like how do you feel like you translate some of that stuff into what you're producing currently?
I was just imagining System of a Down covering a Samia song. Uh, I mean the System of a Down one is sort of like there was a phase where I was like just into metal
Yeah,
and like
totally.
Mastodon. I loved like
Hmm.
all this, like Kylesa, High on Fire, like these sort of like southeast, kind of the region I live in now, like metal bands are
Okay.
down
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But System of a Down, I don't even know exactly how that one influence. I think that there's like an energy
Hmm.
to it that has always stuck with me. I think one of the coolest things about System of a Down is they are able to make this like seemingly super obscure, insane aesthetic uh, work in like a pop way. Like they have like hits.
Yeah.
And it's the craziest. Right after I went back into my White Stripes, let's try this again.
Yeah.
I did it with System of a Down, and that hit. I listened to
Yeah.
all of Toxicity.
Yeah.
It's one of the greatest albums ever. It's like,
Yeah. It's so good.
what
Yeah.
else is like that?
Yeah. Nothing.
Nothing else.
No. Nothing.
And no one even tries to replicate it because if you
No.
do, it's just gonna be so obvious and like
Yeah.
it's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, System of a Down just has like a something that's so undeniable. Even if you hate it,
Hmm.
it's like you can't help but understand and appreciate that that is a special thing that has happened.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. It's like so funny because there's like I don't know. You have kids. I don't know like their ages necessarily, but I have a 6-year old, well, 7 now. I guess she just turned 7. But there's a System of a Down song in Sing 2, I think.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's just a really like a kind of funny scene. She like it's this character and like she's an old lady, but she loves System of a Down, and she's like so it's just kind of like a funny thing. But my daughter was like, I want you to play that. So she was like obsessed with that song. I'm horrible with I think it was Chop Suey actually.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
so she was like obsessed with it for like a month where she was just like play it. So we were like playing it in the car and I was like having this weird like this is the most bizarre thing I've got at the time I think she was 5. Like I've got a 5-year-old that is like turning potentially into a metalhead like because of but yeah, I don't know. It is one of those things where it's weird like you said it's weird that they have hits because that's not really what you would suspect when you like hear kind of the aesthetic of them. You're like
Yeah.
that they shouldn't have hits, but then it's like you hear these songs and you're like, whoa, like how is this something that is amazing? Like that most people probably will like.
Yeah. I still don't really understand it either
Yeah.
because I don't know if it's all like melodic. Like I
Yeah.
usually like there's something about all the pieces just working together the way they do.
Hmm.
I mean, the song BYOB definitely has like a hit chorus.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But Chop Suey, I mean, that wake up.
Yeah.
I think there's something so satisfying musically about how like chopped up that is and how it
Mhm.
opens up to the beat. You
Yeah.
want to,
Yeah.
you want to.
Yeah,
There's something
absolutely.
that they just get so right about that kind of thing, like these sort of like it's very composed, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's magic.
And I think it is like kind of that, like it's that rhythmic. Like I think
Yeah,
that's what she loved, was that fast part, the da 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 da. Like she
yeah,
just liked that. And then as you said, like you said, when it opened up into the beat, it made you bob, right? Like cuz
yeah,
you had, I think she had fun singing that, even though she had no idea what they were saying, singing that chopped up part, rhythmic part, and then she just like thought it was so cool that then it went to this open thing. Like it was just so funny. I was like watching this and I was like, what? Like this is crazy that she is like into this metal song. I was like, do you want to hear more of them? And she's like, yeah. And I tried to show her some more songs. She was like, nah,
yeah.
not feeling not feeling this. But like, yeah, she just loved chop suey. Yeah, it's so funny. It's like hilarious to
Needles
me.
is my favorite System of a Down song.
Okay, needles. All
Yeah,
right, I
that's
like it.
just that's just crazy.
It is. Yeah, I'm like, I would say I'm not like a diehard System of a Down fan, but like I was into metal at a time. I was more like into alt rock, I would say. So not quite like, I was kind of on the fringe of metal. I would listen to like some screamo ish bands, and then some of them were just kind of like really alternative or experimental. And but I got like deep into the rabbit hole of System of a Down because I think it was just so well. First of all, just the hype around Toxicity. I was like, I have to listen to this because like people are losing their minds about this album. So I did, and then I was like, whoa, this like yeah, this is crazy. This is amazing. And so then I went down this deep rabbit hole with them. I don't go back to them a lot, but like I had this
Right.
moment in my life where I was like, for whatever reason, I was like eating it all up. I was just like, I love this. This is so cool.
Were you
Um,
like 13, 14, 15 type thing?
I was no, I was a little older. I would have been like kind of at the end of high school, so like 16, 17, 18. And yeah, I don't know. Like I was listening at the time, I was listening to like Manchester Orchestra, Thrice, He Is Legend, like just some like kind of like alt stuff. Kind of like some of it was like into the punk world, some of it was maybe touching a little bit on screamo and metal, and then all of a sudden I was like, I like System of a Down now. It was
Those are
so
best.
strange. Yeah. Um, yeah, that's definitely like, I think that's like a hard one that people would be like, I don't know how this translates into what you're like producing now, but like somebody like Leonard Cohen, I think they could draw that line, right? Because you're
Yeah,
like, he's heavy singer songwriter, folky. Um,
yeah. That's probably. I mean, Samia. There's a similar vibe there where there is like this sort of like dark, heavy, you
mm,
know. Um, but the Leonard Cohen, you said something about like listening to music and lyrics don't hit always, but
mhm,
or like it takes a minute for them to sink in, but they're like the
yeah,
production. I think Leonard Cohen was one of the first people that I listened to that really flipped that for me because I was like that for a long time too, where like
mm,
I didn't really care about what people were saying in songs until I was like a certain age. I kind of
yeah,
just
sure.
loved the energy and the electricity of listening to music. But
Mm,
Leonard Cohen was like one of the first ones where I would listen to a song for a line
mm,
and
yeah,
like the words I still don't know what he means by certain things and
yeah,
I don't really care like I don't really and I feel that way about Samia's music a lot too. There's things that she'll say I'm like I don't really know what you
yeah,
mean by this and
yeah,
I'm not going to ask because there's such a feeling to it. There's just
yeah.
this never-ending mystery
Mm,
um where you get enough to chew on and then it leaves you hanging just enough and I think that dance is a really compelling thing to experience for me and
yeah,
um,
yeah.
Leonard Cohen also though has like 8 billion songs that like
That's true. Yeah.
the I don't know if I'm like listening to every single song and so I think sometimes they are a little bit I still need something a little bit more than just
Mm,
than just words, but
Yeah.
the right
Yeah.
ones will change your life. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He is definitely like basically just a poet that puts like like you not really, but like he would be closer to that than a lot of people. Like where it
Mhm.
would be like he's a poet that just puts music to his poetry, which like I don't necessarily actually think that, but like he's pretty close to that line.
Like
Um,
poet first. Yeah.
yeah, and it and like you could argue that Bob Dylan is like similar, but I think Leonard Cohen is even further to that. And obviously he like the meaning that he has, like you said, the lines, the lyrics, everything. He does have just such like a poetic way about everything he's doing, and I think that's what's so cool about music versus poetry is you could just have poetry and there's no music, but there is this sense of like sometimes you might make a decision in songwriting that maybe doesn't make as much sense as if you were like only focused on the lyrics and making like a poem, but you're choosing words or maybe you're choosing phrasing that feel like you get this feel because you're mixing it with melody and you're
Yeah.
mixing it with phrasing and all that stuff. Um so I do get that, like there's certain times where maybe things are like, oh, this does, like sometimes you take that too far and you're like, I changed this word because it rhymes or it sounds better, and like there's nothing to it, like you get that in some of like the really commercial like pop or country, you know what I mean? Where it's like, I changed, like it used to be, I'm thinking of like a Morgan Wallen song where it's like, it used to be my phone number, but now I'm changing it because these digits sound a lot better together. And then it's
Oh
like,
yeah.
you're kind of like removing, like, which makes sense. You're doing it for the melody, the structure of the song, but then you're kind of removing the story of the song because then it's like, this is associated to nothing. Like, so
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. It is interesting, like these how different artists are different that way. Whereas I feel like Leonard Cohen would be like, he would never change something like that because it sounds better in the melody structure of his song. He's
Yeah.
like, he's going for the story, and
We'll
it's
never
like,
know.
it's true. We'll never
He's
know.
gone now.
It's true. Very true.
There's something about his songs that there there's something so ancient about them. Like they
Yeah.
feel like they're like each one of them is a fucking cathedral or something. Like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
um,
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, there's so many ways to look at them. Like you can kind
Mm.
of like walk around it, and then all of a sudden you notice like these stained glass windows over in the back entrance that you didn't even
Yeah.
realize before. It's just like the level of detail and the like bulletproofness
Mm.
of something like, you know, I mean, yeah. Who by Fire is one of my favorite Leonard Cohen songs. And I feel like that one is also kind of rather obscure for some of them. Um,
Mm.
but it just, yeah, it just has this like bulletproofness to it that it's like a colossal giant pounding
Mm.
its
Yeah.
fist.
Well, like we're talking about it right now. Let's get into this. Give, if you can, on the spot, give me 5 of your favorite Leonard Cohen songs. You gave me the first one. Let's keep rolling.
Um, I mean, obviously, hey, that's no way to say goodbye. Chelsea Hotel's good, but I don't even put that in my favorites. Who by Fire,
Mm.
um, uh, and there, no, Diamonds in the Mine.
Mm.
Diamonds in the Mine is definitely that
Yeah.
actually might be my favorite one because it there's also this side of Leonard Cohen that maybe we aren't talking about, which is like the funny. He's like always
Yeah.
there's like
Yeah.
this huge humor in a lot of his music.
Yeah.
And
It's
Diamonds
true.
in the Mine kind of does all of the things at once.
Mm.
That's another thing that I come back to like every few months just to remind myself like what the coolest thing that's ever been done is.
Mm.
um, what am I at? Is that 4?
Yeah, I
And
believe so. Yeah.
maybe So Long Marianne is like a cool one. Trying to think of Famous Blue Raincoat.
Man,
Did I say Suzanne? Oh,
I'll tell you one thing. You have a great memory. I would never. I would have to like look. I would never remember some of these songs off the top of my head, like song names. I'm just so bad with song names. I don't know why.
there are a lot of yeah. There are probably some that I'm missing because I am not looking.
You're not looking. Yeah.
Maybe
No,
I'll,
it's
for the sake of you know, doing this right.
hey,
See if I
I
if
think
there's
that
one
that
that I forgot. Oh, you want it darker? It's one of his last songs
mm,
that he ever put out. Shit, where did you go? I don't even. Oh, there you are. Um, you want it darker is one of the craziest Leonard Cohen songs. He put it out before he died,
mm.
and like, part of the chorus, he like says, "I'm ready to go" in Latin or something. And his
Oh,
voice sounds
crazy.
insane. His voice got crazier and
Yeah,
crazier
I
as he got older.
know. It absolutely did. Yeah. It was already crazy kind of to begin with, and it just gets more and
Yeah,
more crazy. Yeah.
yeah.
Man.
I don't know what his secret was. I don't think it was just cigarettes. I think it was literally like the way he like held himself, just like the gravity like pulled it.
Yeah, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that is one thing that people try to strive for is that yeah, that just raspy gravelly. You could probably smoke 10 packs a day and not get that. Like it was
No, you
just
just wouldn't be able to sing anymore.
yeah, it's true. You'd get too far. You'd get way too far.
Honestly,
Um
never. I never understand the smoking and vocal. I feel like anytime
mm,
I've heard someone smoke, they just sound worse in like a
yeah.
undesirable
Yeah, yeah.
way. Not that they shouldn't do that or something, but I've just never understood the like, oh, go smoke a pack of cigarettes and like then we'll get the take.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like no, you probably won't. You'll be like coughing or you've got too much like yeah, I don't know. It
You
is
got to record in the morning. I think
mm,
that's
is that the one right there?
there's just a richness and like a deepness
Hmm.
um, to all voices in the morning. Like people can sing, you can sing so much lower in the morning.
Interesting. I've never noticed that, but that's
You-
cool.
You're not all stressed out from talking all day.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. Um you also mentioned in here you've been building a studio, obviously.
Yeah,
And that's probably like have you been typically like would you go to studios to record or have you always kind of had a home studio where you like to be in?
I've always had a place at my house where I, mix stuff and finish things
Sure.
up and work on things. But I've never really had a place at my house where I have been able to do sessions or really have people
Mm,
come through and do something that's inspiring. I've never had an inspiring enough space to want to
mm,
like bring
sure. Yeah.
someone in.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do travel a good amount. There's a handful of studios around me that
Mhm.
I use, like the Sylvan Esso's studio in the forest
Mm,
is a one that I go to a lot. And then there's a new one in Durham called Stadium Heights Sound.
okay.
But it's obviously been a dream come true for me to have my own place that I
Mm,
can actually have people come to. And
yeah.
um, where I live, I have enough space on my property that I'm gonna put a new building on it in the back, and then
Okay. Yeah.
it'll be it'll be just a cool way to kind of have people come through, and it'll be a lot easier to
Yeah.
schedule. And I think that there'll be I just can't wait to have people like, oh, dude, have the trumpet person come through, and or like, oh,
Yeah.
dude, you
Yeah.
want to come by and like play a little bit of
Yeah.
something on here instead of like, oh, is this studio open here? Oh, is this
Yeah.
studio open here?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
is too much. And I think also it'll give people an easier way to come back here from Minneapolis.
Mm, yeah.
So I can
Yeah.
kind of connect the my end of that pipeline,
Yeah. Totally.
and people can we can go back and forth a little bit more.
Mm,
But yeah, man, I
absolutely.
can't wait. I'm still kind of deciding if it's going to be two rooms or one.
Okay.
If we're going to have a tracking room, um, obviously that just adds a bunch of cost and like
Yeah. Yeah.
logistics. But as long as we can have a good spot and
Yeah.
have enough, start getting all this stuff in there. I mean, anytime I'm working, I feel like no matter where I am, there's like a level of handicap because I'm either in a place that I'm not comfortable and I don't have my tools.
Sure. Yeah.
And all of this handicap and limitations is like cool and it influences what you're doing. And then I come back home to mix it, and it's like I'm in the like, worst sonic conditions in the world. This room is
Yeah.
like, I was excited about and this one's like right across from my daughter's bedroom. Like,
Mm.
I can't be like blasting shit at 4 in the
Yeah.
morning.
Yeah, it's true.
But I
Yeah.
remember the first time I set up in here and was started to listen to music, I was like, oh no,
Oh, no, yeah.
this is like the worst one I've ever had. But I
Well,
mixed all Bloodless in here.
yeah. Hey,
Um,
it didn't sound like you were in a bad
I,
space for it.
I'm glad you don't think so.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I've figured it out enough to last me until I have
A good
the
space. Yeah.
space out back.
Yeah.
But I'm also so used to it now. Like every place I've ever mixed a record has been a extremely not ideal
Yeah.
place for listening to music.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
You're used to it, kind of like offsetting some of the things that
yeah,
are like not ideal. Yeah.
I'm used to it, but I'm ready to move on.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it does take more time.
Yeah. Yeah. Just as long as you don't get in your head too much when the space is too perfect. You're like, there's not like this is too perfect. I can't.
It won't be perfect.
Yeah.
That's for damn sure. I mean, it's still going to be gnarly. I mean, it'll
Mm,
probably be. Originally, I was trying to get like the worst building ever and bring it over,
mm.
and then build like the nicest room ever on the inside of
Oh,
this
okay.
building.
Okay. Yeah.
Because when you're driving around my town, there's so many like broken down shacks, and anytime I see them, I'm like, that's
Sure.
my dream studio.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then you imagine actually bringing someone that you've never met from like, you know, Kansas City, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm so excited to meet you. Oh my God, this is where we're gonna be. Yeah, you're staying here. There's a bathroom right over there."
that's that's true. Yeah.
I don't
That
know.
would
I
be
feel like
so
it's got
funny.
to be nice enough for people to be,
Mm.
excited to be there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, that's really cool. Um and I'm sure exciting just like building stuff like that is I'm sure like exciting just to be imagining maybe some of the new gear you're getting or like some of the new things you're going to do to
Yeah, I
solve some
mean,
issues, but yeah.
it's a it it's a dream come true to even be able to think about it
Yeah.
and
Totally.
like kind of see when it's gonna happen, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, amazing. Um who would be some you kind of mentioned like and maybe we'll end with this, but um who would be some people that you get like inspired by that are currently like working today? You did kind of mention this guy that's close to you. Um uh but like are there other producers, other artists that you're like the stuff they're working on is just so cool? Um
Yeah, I mean, Nilüfer Yanya is someone who I always respect. I feel like everything that comes out is always sort of like just really cool. That's Sia Gray record that came out. She's from Toronto, I think.
okay.
Um,
I didn't know that.
the first and last song on that album are like some of my favorite things of all time.
Hmm.
The last song's called "Lie Down." What the first one's called? This is why I don't fall in love. And I think this is why.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that stuff is amazing. I mean, uh, Alex Farah from the studio Drop of Sun in Asheville.
Okay.
He's someone
Mhm.
who I'm always sort of inspired by. I've gotten to work with him a handful of times, and
Mhm.
um, I just think he's got such an amazing approach to this type of work. He's a producer and a mixer, and
Yeah, yeah.
he's working on so much amazing stuff that is making impacts on the world. He did the MJ Lenderman record, and
Yeah, I'm
uh,
pretty sure I've been following him for a little while. Um, yeah, the name and the location ring a bell for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he's so cool, and just like I respect him so much.
Mm.
Um, other people, I mean, I love so many of the people back home in Minneapolis, like my brother's band called Why Not. They're
Okay, yeah.
always an inspiration to me, and they're
Yeah.
always just, I feel like, making stuff that is so cool.
Mm.
Um, Yeah, what else is happening now? That's the coolest shit. Oh, you know who's the best? Ethel Cain.
Yeah.
Have
Okay.
you
Yeah.
heard the Perverts EP?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
god.
Yeah.
That
It's crazy.
yeah, that's my shit.
Yeah.
That there's something so like I wanted that. Like I
Yeah.
needed something like that. I'll put
Yeah.
that on and drive around for 45 minutes. It is it's like it's like soothing, but
Yeah.
in the most fucked up way. It like
Yeah.
you relate
Absolutely.
the most
Yeah.
fucked up parts of yourselves relate
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that thing blew my mind.
Yeah. Absolutely. She took a huge risk with that, right? Like there's nothing like what she was doing before, and
Yeah.
it was I think very divisive in her in critically and in her fandom. But I personally thought it was amazing. I just love when artists take a risk like that. And even if I'm kind of like, I don't know if I liked it that much, I still like I always am trying to give a lot more of the benefit of the doubt that this is great, because of that risk that was taken. I just try to respect that, because I know that that's really tough in this like industry, in this musical landscape. You've got labels that have expectations, you've got all this, your fans that have expectations. So for an artist to step out and take a big risk like that, I
Yeah.
just think is so cool, and I really loved it. I thought it was really good.
That
Exactly what you said. You're like, you're kind of ashamed that you relate to it, because you're like, I'm relating to this in like the most messed up way, but you're like, but I am, and I love it, and like, I don't know, it's needed.
oh, I fuck with it. It like makes my face change. Like I'll be listening to it and all of a sudden like my eyes get like super like zeroed in and like
Mm, yeah,
uh yeah, I don't know. The more I find out under the hood of like making music and everyone's like insecurities and stuff, the
yeah,
more badass it is when someone does something like that. Because I'm like, oh my god,
yeah,
you really did that shit.
yeah. I'm sure.
Another person I have to say who is always inspiring me, Alan Sparhawk from the band Low.
Oh yeah, yeah. You
Um,
have Low on here, yeah.
Low is like my favorite band
Mm,
of all time. Yeah,
yeah,
I just think that it's music that can do no wrong.
mm,
It's nothing is bad,
yeah.
and it's just and Alan and Trampled by Turtles just released a full length like collaborative album,
Okay, I didn't know that.
and
Interesting.
it's incredible. Yeah,
Really? Yeah. Okay.
yeah, it's incredible.
I'll have to check that out. I have like I've definitely like kept up with Low throughout the years. Like it would have been more like in my college, late high school, college, when I kind of like listened to them. But yeah, I'll have to check that out. I had no idea that he was still kind of, yeah, or that he was going to collab on that.
Seems like
That's
he'll
exciting.
never stop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that most of the most of those kind of great musicians don't, right? Because that's their outlet. That's their passion and their love, and it's like it's almost impossible to stop, I think, for a lot of people.
Yeah, I hope he never does.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Best
sure.
shit ever.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. That sounds like it would be really cool. Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, we've been going for we're coming across almost an hour here. And yeah, is there anything else you kind of want to touch on before we sign off? I feel like this has been
I don't
good.
know. No, I mean it's been great talking to you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on here. And
Yeah, of course. Of course.
yeah, I could talk about this stuff for hours and hours and hours.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm super glad you came on. Yeah, I'm so obsessed with Bloodless. Honestly, I've been listening to it so much, and that and I don't know if you've listened to the Viagra Boys album, their record that they put out, but
I haven't, but you know who's been telling me to is Samia.
yeah. No, though I don't know what it is, but those two records are just like, yeah, they're definitely not similar by any means, but like I just love them both. And sometimes I'll just like go from one to the other, and it's almost
That's
like It's almost like amazing. But yeah, those Bloodless is absolutely becoming like probably my album for the summer. So I'm so glad that I was able to kind of talk to you a little bit about it and hear some of your influences and talk about that stuff. Yeah, it's been an awesome. And if any of the listeners want to kind of check you out, you are on Instagram and are you on TikTok? I can't remember.
No,
Yeah,
I've
don't
never
don't don't
never.
go there, man. Don't do it. It's
And I would spend a lot of time there if I did.
don't do it, man. It's a dark hole. But yeah, you are on Instagram, normal parents, right? That's I know
Yeah,
you said that there's a story to that. But yeah, normal parents. If you want to tell the story, that we can go into it.
I
But
can't. Well, I mean, it's not a play on me being a dad at
yeah,
all.
sure. Yeah.
It's this like t-shirt brand like art project thing that I did like 10 years ago. We would like do events in my band. The Happy Children was a part of it. It was like this whole
Okay.
moniker for all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And yeah, I would sell shirts and do a bunch of I would like sell dog hair and do a bunch of weird shit. Um
That's great. Dog
and
hair.
now my Instagram is just still normal parents. But I feel like
Yeah.
if you go on there, you're like, oh, he's like a dad.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. I actually keep trying to change it to Caleb Wright,
Yeah.
um, but Instagram like won't let me. So
What?
I
That's
don't know.
weird.
It's normal
Okay.
parents.
All right, it's normal parents. Hey, and you are a dad. You are probably, hope I don't know. Maybe
And
you're
I'm
not a
proud of that
wonder.
too. I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not trying to like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love
Yeah.
being dead, but I'm not trying to make my brand some,
Yeah.
uh,
Like I don't know, like some sort of like a parent self-help.
yeah, like, oh, we're not normal, actually.
Uh, love that. Yeah, cool. Well, follow him, normal parents on Instagram, and you'll see kind of all kinds of things on there. You'll see you being a normal parent, and you'll see music stuff too. So it's cool.
Yeah, you might even see some dead animals.
Dead animals. Hey, that's cool too. I'm here for it. Awesome. Well, yeah, we will maybe hopefully have you on again sometime. Maybe when Samia puts out another record.
Hell yeah, dude. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate you calling me.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for coming on. And yeah, for all the listeners out there, come back next week. We'll have a new episode and a new guest. All right. Peace.
Peace.